Welcome to the Tesla Economist. Please hit the thumbs up and remember to subscribe. You can also follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon. Some people are talking about shorting Toyota and think it might be one of the fastest of the legacy companies to fall. Toyota have invested so much into hybrid technology and doubled down on it again and again. They do not have the sufficient battery supply to enter as a major player in the EV industry, and the market will exponentially saturate. But it takes a really long time to ramp up battery supply. Not even Apple could buy their way in. For each EV player, it's all about how many batteries they have available to them. Of course, the fact they're all wanting the same resource, significantly more, all at the same time, well, what could go wrong there? And as we know, it's all on an exponential level. And if you start later than everyone else, well, then you'll always be that much further behind than everyone else. But Toyota is the low-cost, reliable car. There's very little that goes wrong with a Toyota. If it ever does, it costs very little to fix. Toyota's hybrid systems are very fuel efficient, getting over 500 miles on a tank, so they don't cost much to run or buy. Toyota have invested so much in hybrid being the future of automotive that it'll be very hard for them to change now. I think they just have to maintain a position as the low-cost alternative to EVs. In the US, hybrids may end up getting $4,000 tax credit, or perhaps more. That will take the price of hybrid Toyota Corolla, for example, to under $20,000. Making it very difficult for any EVs to come close to that price point. Now, although Tesla will launch a compact model, we don't know if it will be in the US, at least anytime soon, and especially not in Japan, i.e., Teslas may still be around $40,000 in the US, so there may still be a Toyota hybrid for less than half the price. Taxpayers realise that they're the ones paying for these EV rebates, so a lot of people want their fair share of what they're paying for. The question is, will there still be a market for a low-cost hybrid? Or will everyone basically realise that fully electric is the future, and hybrid sales dry up? Toyota will have a market in Japan for some time, assuming they don't go bankrupt, and Tesla has minimal presence there. If the rest of the world decides electric is the way, then Toyota could fall fast, and that's what it comes down to. And the major economically developed nations have literally said electric is the future, and many are banning all ICE cars, including hybrid. Like the UK banning sales for pure ICE cars in 2030, and hybrid sales banned in 2035. Does that mean Toyota has until the end of the decade to try and transition to EVs? Are they going to run into the same issues that everyone else has run into? Except perhaps it's even harder, as everyone else is already trying to order more batteries. It's got to be a lot harder when you're so late in the game, and the lowest hanging fruit supply chains have already been secured. And how will Toyota even make batteries? The major battery manufacturers are already partnered up with legacy autos. Perhaps they're not allowed to partner with others due to proprietary knowledge. So Toyota could only really rely on third-party batteries. Not great for a supply chain, especially when your brand literally makes the most cars in the world. Every other battery has more or less been earmarked by everyone until about 2025. Right, so even if they had batteries, then the batteries would cost a fortune, and they would have all sorts of other issues, with their cars resulting in minimal range, with a very bad range per dollar invested per vehicle ratio, and even then Toyota would obviously be selling their EVs at a huge loss. They don't have a premium brand that can justify the extra expensive batteries. Toyota is an affordable brand. It's not possible to sell an EV at an affordable price. Not to mention, Toyota couldn't get close to the price of Chinese EVs. The Chinese EVs are securing Toyota's market position in the EV market, the affordable EV. No way Toyota is going to be able to beat them on any scale. Toyota are making their first EV soon though, the BZ4X, but it's based on BYD's hardware and software, including batteries. In fact, if Toyota's stock price started crashing and BYD kept growing, BYD could possibly buy out Toyota and use that brand as it would be the exact market segment that they'd want to attract. Or perhaps Toyota could make some attempt to take over BYD, although with it being a Chinese company there may be some complications. Of course, due to the fact that EVs, other than Tesla, have such small profit margins, whenever you have to pay import tariffs to the US, it makes it that much harder again to compete against Tesla. Yeah, wouldn't it be so much easier to compete in the EV industry if Tesla hadn't already set the benchmark for price and range? And it won't be long until Tesla reset the value proposition of an EV with their Model 2, with a compact $25,000 version. This will make it extra difficult for Toyota to ever compete, not with battery EVs, but even with their low-cost hybrid. The cost of ownership is going to be much less than owning a Tesla, not to mention the Tesla can also drive itself. On the other hand, Toyota could be one of the last legacy companies to go under. Although Tesla will eventually get their costs down to be able to make an electric car much cheaper than Toyota can make an ICE car, that doesn't mean Tesla will sell them that cheap. Now, Toyota also get $4,000 off their hybrids in the US too, so they may do quite well for a while out of that. But if they don't have to invest $30 billion into EVs like the other legacy autos, as Toyota perhaps decide to just cash cow the business until it ends, a Chinese EV can't undercut a Toyota either, but it might be governments themselves of major nations that are forcing EVs by banning the sale of ICE. I say that governments aren't doing much about EVs, but banning ICE sales by the end of the decade, that actually is a pretty big deal, and that's the target now, and perhaps these targets will be more popular throughout more nations later. Tesla don't have much of a presence in Japan yet either. I'm not sure what the right strategy is there. I would say it would be feasible to have a factory there, and Tesla would likely learn a lot about manufacturing techniques in Japan, which may further improve their manufacturing capabilities. So will Toyota be one of the first legacy auto companies to go bankrupt? Possibly, yes. It will depend on the consumer behaviour. If consumers decide that hybrids are not the technology they want, then Toyota will struggle to survive a few more years. If consumers still decide they want a low-cost car that is not all electric, then Toyota may survive for a large part of the decade. Although they need to be careful the Chinese EVs don't eat up their market share, which does make it a bit harder for them. On top of that, there is always the Model 2, which will have a lower cost of ownership than any Toyota. And if Toyota manage to survive until the end of the decade, then their hybrid vehicles will soon be banned by major governments. Toyota cannot transition to EVs, they've left it all too late, and thought the future of clean energy was hydrogen. How they made such a fatal mistake, I honestly have no idea. How did we all know better than them years and years ago? How did we know better than these executives that had been in the auto industry for decades? I don't know, but that's often what happens in business. Some major companies can miss major opportunities. Toyota will never transition to electric. It's far too late. They can't get the batteries. Their one chance is possibly to acquire or merge with BYD, which I'm not sure will be that easy anyway. Therefore, yes, it is possible for Toyota to be one of the first to go bankrupt. But by the same token, the attempts made by the other legacy autos to transition to EVs, spending tens of billions of dollars, well, that may end up giving the other legacy autos a head start to bankruptcy too, almost as if they couldn't wait to go bankrupt soon enough. Thanks for listening. Please hit the thumbs up and subscribe. You can follow me on Twitter and talk to me on Patreon.